Om Agyanatimirandasya Dhanandana Shaladaya Chakshurun Militamina Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. So my name is Ter Kadamba Das. I am based in Mayapur for 7 years, where I've been studying Vedanta philosophy, and I've been preaching in the West, mainly Europe and North America. So I go back and forth, half year in Mayapur, half year in the West preaching. And I've been asked to talk a little bit about Varnashram and the role it plays in our lives.
So, thank you, Prabhu, for your
Hare
time.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So, why in our society, in ISKCON, not so many devotees take interest in Varnashram?
Yes. Why do not so many devotees take interest in Varnashram? Well, most devotees don't know what it is. Usually when we talk Varnashram, I like to say there are two kinds of silence. There's regular silence, and then there's the silence when you mention Varnashram. It's like a different type of silence, a little bit awkward silence, because devotees don't know what it is. If you push them on it, they'll start talking about cows and farming. But actually, if we look at it, that's Varna. So that's half of Varnashram. You have Varna and Ashram. So within Varna, it's Vaishya. So that's a quarter of the Varnas. So that's an eighth of Varnashram. Within Vaishya, it's farming. But Vaishya is also business. So it's a 16th. But within farming, it's only half, because cow protection is only half of farming. There's also tilling the land. So it's a 1/32nd part of Varnashram is actually to do with the cow. The truth is, Varnashram is everything. It's the social system by which we function under. It's a universal system. We hear very often discussion about should we implement Varnashram. That is it's a wrong way of looking at it. It's like saying, should we implement gravity?
So what is the biggest challenge in establishing the Varnasrama Dharma system?
The biggest challenge is we don't know what it is. So the thing is, it is implemented. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I implemented this. I created these divisions. So they're eternal, they're all pervading. If you look at the 10th canto, Krishna book, they're following Varnashram. There's Krishna, he's a Vaishya, and in Dwarka he's a Kshatriya. He's God, so he can kind of do whatever he wants, but he follows the system. But the difference between here and the spiritual world is that everything supports rasa and lila in the spiritual world. So does Varnashram. That's why you don't have many brahmacharis in Krishna lila. They're just not fun enough. But here we're attached to the material energy. That means Varnashram becomes a matter of duty. It's a tool for us to help us release ourselves from attachment to the material energy. So the biggest challenge is that we have to know that it's not an impediment. We have to first know what it is, then we have to understand it's not an impediment. People think that if I'm one Varna, one ashram, I will be limited. Actually, you'll be set free, because what we're removing is all the options that don't work anyway. So it's like, I'm transcendental. Do I have to follow the traffic laws when I go around in traffic? I don't have to. I'm not the body. I'm not the car. I can do whatever I want.
Many devotees argue that since we are performing devotional service, so following Varnashram it's in the lower stage.
Sure.
Since we are engaged in devotional service,
sure.
Chanting and Sankirtan is not, especially in the Kali Yuga.
I mean,
so
if you're Haridas Thakur, great. He's not anything. He's just transcendental. Lord Rishabhadev, he's rolling around in his own stool and urine, and it all smells like flowers. If that's your position, great. I'm not getting in your way. But if you chant your 16 rounds and then go on Facebook complaining about other people's situation, I'm gonna complain, because then you're not transcendental. This whole idea, I'm transcendental so I can do whatever my conditioning tells me and it still be devotional service. Where's the service? If it's not a matter of duty, how is it service? You can do whatever you want. You can also get whatever result you want, but you can't put the two together. You can't do whatever you want and get whatever result you want. Either you do whatever you want and you're going to get whatever result is fitting to that. Or if you want a special or specific result, you have to perform a certain duty. That's why it's the first actual instruction in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 3 is you do your duty, not someone else's duty. Prabhupada says already in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita in one of the purports, he says, someone who doesn't follow his duty is a coward. Because he's not looking at reality the way it is, he's pretending. So if you want to play that card, I'm transcendental, then don't ever complain about anything. Just be transcendental. But that's not what we see, right? It's just something to say so we can follow our mind, follow our conditioning. So it's a matter of what do you want? Do you want to get out of the material world? You don't have to. If you like being here, you can just stay. We're not going to push you. But if you want to get out, if you really want to be transcendental, there is a specific way to do it. Krishna has told us in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, how it works. And they're all following. Unless, you're talking Lord Rishabhadeva, and these were like, just avadut kind of. Sure, if that's the level you're really on. But that's usually not, right?
So seeing ISKCON, our society, so how much, according to your estimation, how much the devotees in ISKCON already follow the system?
In one sense, they are following the system because there is only that system. The question is how elegantly are you following? We're all following nature's laws, right? So there's no question of not following the system, but it's just if you're mixed,
no, because many devotees thinking that we are Brahmana or even higher than Brahmana.
See, someone who's above would never say stuff like that, right? So someone like we know if you're on Raganuga or Bhava Bhakti, you don't have to follow the rules. But someone who's on that level would never say that. You would never have Rupa Goswami say you don't have to follow the rules, right? So how much are we following? We're following, but we're doing it whimsically. We're doing it in the mode of passion and ignorance. So we're doing it in the mode of passion, meaning that when we see a result that we can gain from it, then we'll follow very nicely. But as soon as we can't see that result, we don't have a whole lot of faith in it. And then you start hearing about, we're transcendental, we don't have to follow. So it's whimsical, and that's why we're not getting so much out of it. So we have to remember that the world is unlimited, right? It's unlimited options. So if you take a portion of unlimited, it's still unlimited. So if you say you're a Shudra, most people are Shudras, it's just a fact. Anyone who talks about what they are or doesn't know what they are, they're Shudras. A Brahmana doesn't care, he's just doing Brahminical stuff. A Kshatriya, he's out doing Kshatriya stuff. A businessman, a Vaishya, he's doing business. You don't hear businessmen talking about how they're businessmen, they're talking about business. So all this discussion is because we don't know, because we're mixed, and that puts us in the Shudra category. Now that's not a problem, because you can be pretty much whatever you want as a Shudra. There's unlimited options. All the people in our society that we celebrate, most of them are Shudras. Sports stars, actors, musicians, they're all Shudra. So there's not really a problem. And if you're a devotee, you can do whatever you want, you're transcendental, then why not do that? It's the simplest way to go back to Godhead, and that's what we really want, right? The whole idea of being a Dvija, a Vaishya, Kshatriya, or a Brahmana, it's something you do because you just can't help it. It's not something you decide. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and he started out by saying, I want to be a Kshatriya. And I told him, you're not, you're a Shudra. A Kshatriya would never say he wants to be, right? It's like if I say I want to be a unicorn, you can be pretty sure that I'm not a unicorn. A unicorn doesn't say like that, it's just a unicorn, right? So we have to understand that the fact that we're transcendental means that we don't have to worry about that. Our identity is not linked to a varna or an ashram. When Prabhupada talks about Sudras that, oh, they're wretched, they're poor, it's horrible, he's talking about non-devotees. He's talking about people who think that, no, I'm going to be happy being a blacksmith, or I'm going to become a great football player, and that's going to make my life perfect. That's a problem, because you're going to be more entangled after that life than before. That's the poor. But to do a certain duty as your devotional service, as how to sustain your family, that's glorious. That's not a problem at all. You know, you see, again, back to Krishna Lila, who's the highest rasas? It's not brahmanas, it's cowherd girls. They're, you know, on the social ladder, they're at the bottom of society. Then who? Mother Yashoda, right? Then we have cowherd boys. You know, it's not. We're looking at it all wrong. It's because of our contaminated consciousness of wanting to be the controller and enjoyer, right? Everyone wants to be the Kshatriya, and okay, maybe 10-15% want to be the Brahmana, but most don't really, because it seems boring. But why not just be the devotee? All these, when we're glorifying devotees, what are we saying? We're saying, oh, so humble, always doing his duty, never making a big fuss. We're describing a Sudra. So what is this big temple president ambition? Why? That's where all the problems are. That's when we hear people complaining. Who are they complaining about? It's not the Sudra. It's not the guy who's scrubbing the toilets. It's the temple president. So why would anyone have that position?
Yeah, I found very nice point that you mentioning. We are following, but in a whimsical way.
Yeah.
So
there is only following.
Yeah. How would you suggest that our devotees in ISKCON just follow this Varnasrama system in the right manner?
Well, one thing that would be super great was if devotees read Srila Prabhupada's books a little more, because the reality is that we're not actually. And that was the only thing Prabhupada said about his disciples. Everything was good. Their surrender, their commitment, their full faith in Prabhupada, but they weren't really reading his books. And it's the same today. So how are you going to know what it is if you don't read what it is, right? That's a problem. We don't know what it is. And so it becomes this obscure thing that we feel like is being put, you know, shoved down our throat. And naturally, this gagging reflex, oh, you know, I don't want this. But actually, it's a great resource. It removes all the options that don't work. So it becomes much more smooth. You're going to go back to Godhead anyway. If you want to be a devotee, Krishna's not going to stop you. But it's just going to be a more bumpy ride if you don't know the traffic laws, right? And if you don't have a driver's license, you know, you're going to have to try and figure it out on your own. And that takes a lot of time. So, you know, that's the thing. Knowledge. We're an educational institution. ISKCON is not such a religious institution. It's an educational institution, because the religious practice is based on the supreme philosophy. So if we understand that, then it's a science. It's not a you know, the cultural thing is an expression of that science. So in that sense, knowledge is the key. You know, humility, of course, is the prerequisite of knowledge. So that's how we're going to do it, and everyone will be happy.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.